Getting those fruits and vegetables into your diet is important in maintaining good health. But what about those communities helping people who can't afford to buy what they need or even access fresh produce in their neighborhoods? Well, our Jason Schultz takes us to Florida to meet some farmers doing their part to help those less fortunate.
The cucumber harvest is well underway this morning at Long and Scott Farms in Central Florida.
That's a good one.
Yeah. But these cukes will never make it to your supermarket. And the folks picking the produce aren't farm workers. They're volunteers doing what's called gleaning, harvesting produce that's perfectly fine but not marketable.
So what are you looking for when you're picking these out?
Well, you want to get the ones that aren't split, and these are all still pretty healthy looking. They're hiding underneath the leaves here, but you can find them in between.
It's pretty amazing that the farmer isn't planning to pick this field anymore.
Yeah, it's just awesome that he's donating the rest of this crop to a good cause.
The impact of this act of kindness grows with every 5-pound bag on the pile, and it goes beyond the field.
There's pickles out there on those vines. There's a lot of good ones still left. Chances are there are not enough good ones to make it feasible for us to go back through the field, but there's still a lot of good fruit on those vines that's edible and can feed a lot of folks.
This is the sorting shed at Long and Scott Farms, where workers sort cucumbers by shape and size. The long green produce will be shipped to markets up north or end up getting pickled, but many of the cucumbers aren't the right size for pickling. Those cucumbers, thousands of them, will end up in these big boxes, a donation worth tens of thousands of dollars made by Hank Scott to Florida food banks. Hank participates in the Farmers Feeding Florida food recovery program, connecting farmers with Florida food banks.
You hate to see a crop that you work so hard to grow go to waste. I mean, you're growing it to feed people. You want it to feed people. If you can get the stuff that's not marketable in the hands, in the right hands, where it can help people that are in need, that's the greatest thing in the world, greatest feeling in the world.
So it is just huge for somebody like Hank Scott to step up and actually donate this amount of product, because, there's a cost to it, and there's a cost of getting it out of the field, and there's a cost of getting it into our trucks.
It may be a concept that's hard to wrap your mind around. Here in Central Florida, where an abundance of fresh produce is grown, many families face hunger issues.
We've been really hard hit by the economy here in Florida. As you probably know, we were sort of ground zero for the foreclosures in the country. Florida is ranked 8th in the nation in food hardship.
At the same time that many of Hank's neighbors are having trouble buying food, amazingly, much of the crop that he grows actually could end up rotting in the field. If the market price for his crop hits too low, Hank actually loses money by hiring people to harvest. It's a dilemma faced by farmers across the U.S.
Yeah, and that's one of those variables you got no control of, and that's the market. When all the variables come together and the stars are aligned and everything's just right, and you get good yields and there's just too much produce around, the prices will be half what they were the year before, and it's tough. Not only is it not worth it to us, it doesn't pay us to go harvest it, but we can't even afford to give it away, really. It's too expensive to give away, and that's where the food bank comes in. They got the avenues to move this stuff and get it to the right people, and that's what works great.
If we could get 1% of the surplus commodities that are grown here, that would be equivalent to about 60 million pounds of product a year. So that's 1% of the surplus.
While having volunteers harvest donated crops like these cucumbers may seem like a no-brainer, it can be a tough sell for farmers concerned about legal and liability issues. But as food banks work to meet growing demand, they're increasingly turning to neighbors in the agricultural community.
Farmers there's a natural hesitation. I could totally understand it at the onset that, wow, if I donate this food, what if somebody gets sick from this? The people that are eating this food, their immune systems are already compromised, and that's a legitimate concern. But there's a federal law in place, the Good Samaritan Act. It's been around since 1996, and it's in place, and it protects any food donor from legal liability. God forbid somebody gets sick from that food.
I think sometimes you can over worry about legal issues. I think when it comes to doing something like this, they take care of themselves. You're doing something good, you're doing something right. I just don't think legal issues don't even enter my mind when it comes to that stuff.
Not far from Hank's farm, the cucumbers are being boxed up by Boy Scout volunteers at the Second Harvest Food Distribution Center. They'll end up at food pantries and hunger programs all across the region. And while the team here says they appreciate pre-packaged food donations, produce like this is especially important to those facing hunger. A nutritious and delicious donation fresh from the farm.
Florida is the #1 producer of cucumbers in the United States. And while botanically a fruit, cucumbers are generally thought of as vegetables. The fruits, or vegetables, originated in India, where they've been raised for some 3,000 years.